God, can you imagine that? No increase in property tax and a balanced budget. I guess maybe the finances of Monroe County are not as dire, Mr. President, as one would indicate if one wanted to get up and theatrically present the case. Let me address the ball field, because gee, I've got a pretty good memory for an old guy. That came up, and again, Mr. Haney is absolutely right on that one. Lots of bloviating in here, lots of hot air, turned it down, and the project died. Except that the administration, knowing that that was so much of a good thing for the community, kind of thing, put it into the following year's budget, so it did have a budget item, so that we could do it without bonding. And can we do this? Can we do this without a bond? Absolutely. We can allow another year of erosion. We can put it into the following year's budget. I think we have a budget item, and it is then permissible for us to spend the money. The vehemence, the total commitment to political rhetoric that I've listened here tonight about this just makes me a little happier that my time in here is limited. Thank God, I've only got 4 more meetings after this one to listen to that kind of bloviating. The fact of the matter is, this project, if we allow it to go another spring season, will worsen. Won't get better. The fact of the matter is, if we authorize this bond, we will not be spending the money unless the state of New York does not timely return the money. And if they don't, then we have to have the bond to protect the taxpayers and the finances of the Monroe County. Fact. Monroe County finances are stretched just like everybody else's. Fact. We haven't raised the property tax. In fact, we will not raise the property tax. Fact, we will but balance the budget. Now, would it be nice if we never had to borrow and we could pay cash? Absolutely. But even a rich guy like Mr. Haney, if he leaves all of his wealth to the county, won't be enough to keep us from having to borrow something.
Objection, Mr. President. My personal financial position has nothing to do with this argument.
I didn't think it was an argument. I thought this was a debate. Did I miss something?
Mr. Biscoe, keep your comments on the topic.
My comments are on topic. I have listened to the deputy or the minority leader rattle my ears. I've listened to Mr. Haney go on and on, saying the same thing about 6 times, kind of thing. And if anybody dare stand up and say, wait a minute, that's not quite right. And I think twice I've listened to that argument about the ball diamond. Twice, and Mr. Haney knows as well as I know, that the way that got done was delay it until we can put it in as a budget item. Mr. Haney knows as well as I know that we can delay this, put it into the budget next year, and we'll get it done, except if we do that, there is another whole season of erosion in an already critical situation in those banks. Mr. Haney knows that. The minority leader knows that. So what is it that's keeping us from bonding this? I tell you what it is. It's nothing but pure partisan politics. This is something we should be doing for our parks. This is something we should be doing for our citizens. And will we do it eventually? Yes, absolutely. It'll cost more. There'll be more damage. And I think we will get it done. But I have to remind Mr. Haney again, maybe he's not as right as he would like to be. This should be passed.
Mr. Haney.
Just two corrections to the statements of my distinguished colleague from Henrietta. Number one, I have no sense of being infallible, Mr. President. And indeed, I could regale this chamber for some time with stories about the errors that I have made in my life, like everyone else in this chamber. The second error that my distinguished colleague makes is his honing in on the fact that we've balanced the budget, quote, and the end of quote. Well, if we haven't done a very good job of balancing the budget, Mr. President. We ended the year 2008 with a deficit in our with an unrestricted fund deficit in our general fund of $9 million. That is not evidence. An accumulated deficit is not evidence of a balanced budget.
Any other discussion? First vote will be taken on the motion to reconsider, which has been a lively discussion in and of itself. All those in favor of reconsidering the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call vote, Mr. President. Roll call vote.
Mr. Quatro.
Yes.
Mr. Bronson.
No.
Mr. Adair.
Yes.
Mrs. Andrews. No. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Mr. Beebe.
No.
Mr. Cassetti.
Yes.
Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
Mr. Daniele.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
No.
Mr. Esposito.
No.
Mr. Gamble.
No.
Mr. Gamina.
No.
Mr. Haney.
No.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Mr. Hyder.
No.
Ms. Kaylee. No. Mr. LaFountain.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
No.
Mr. Lightfoot.
No, ma'am.
Mr. McCann.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
No.
Mr. Cucciarello.
Yes.
Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Yolovich.
Yes.
President Zaira.
Yes.
The motion to reconsider passes 15-14.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Roll call vote, Mr. President.
Roll call vote on the motion as well.
Mr. Quatro.
Yes for fixing the car.
Mr. Bronson.
No.
Mr. Adair.
Yes.
Ms. Andrews. No. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker. Mr. Beebe.
No.
Mr. Cassetti.
Yes.
Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
Mr. Daniele.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
No.
Mr. Esposito.
No.
Mr. Gamble.
No.
Mr. Gamina.
No.
Mr. Haney.
No.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Mr. Hyder.
No.
Ms. Kaylee. No. Mr. LaFountain.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
No.
Mr. Lightfoot. Mr. McCann.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
No.
Mr. Cucciarello.
Yes.
Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Yolovich.
Yes.
President Zaira.
Yes.
Bonding motion fails 15-4.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Mr. President?
Mr. Haney.
Mr. President, pursuant to section 545-24, paragraph A, section 4, I rise for the purpose of introducing as a matter of urgency a resolution to this, a resolution for this legislature to act upon so that there be no question that the work in Ellison Park can begin tomorrow.
Point of order.
The resolution I am
Is this
introducing,
resolution
Mr.
in order?
President, is a budget amendment.
The motion is in order. It's a non-debatable motion. We need to vote on.
Roll call vote, Mr. President.
Okay.
We need a second.
Second, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And are my colleagues going to read the resolution before they vote on it, or are we going to have another resolution?
Roll call vote, Mr. President.
On the issue of whether or not to accept it as a matter of urgency, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Quatro.
No.
Mr. Bronson.
Yes.
Mr. Adair.
No.
Ms. Andrews. Yes. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker.
No.
Mr. Beebe.
Yes.
Mr. Cassetti. Mr. Colby. I'm sorry?
No.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Mr. Daniele.
No.
Mr. Driscoll. Mr. Eckel.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Gamble.
Yes.
Mr. Gamina.
Yes.
Mr. Haney.
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
No.